Hey everybody, and welcome back to our channel. We are going to be drawing 3D shapes with lines and shadows today, and I thought a great way to look at some of this is to have these examples here. So this is a cube, right? Because there's more than one side to this, whereas a square is one-sided. You don't have, like this paper, it's one-sided. So you're going to start off by drawing one square for your cube that you're going to draw. And I sped this video up so it's a little quicker for me. And then you are going to draw a second square overlapping the first square, just like this. Mine's a little janky and rough, but that's okay. If you want to use a straight edge, that's totally fine. You're then going to connect these four corners, and they are all in the same direction. Notice that they are all the same slant, and all of a sudden you have a cube. If you want to not make your cube 3D that is see-through like an ice cube, you can erase the inside of your cube. I'm going to put a little sun here, dun, 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 and I'm going to now color it in. The reason why I put a sun is to show that your shadows, right? So the top of our cube is going to be the lightest piece because your sun is hitting the top of your cube. Now the farthest piece would be the darkest part. So this edge of my cube is going to be the darkest, more intense color because it is the farthest away from the sun. Now this side of the cube that is facing you is going to be a medium color because it's not so much in front, but it's not so much in the shadow, but it's definitely not the lightest because the sun is not directly facing the cube. The cool part is about this cube is you can also give it a shadow on the ground to make it look like it's not hovering. So I'm just going to color a kind of a square-like shape on the ground in the same semi-direction of the slanted straight edges that we use to connect your cube. So I'm going to just outline this a little bit so you can see it a little better. The next shape we're going to do is we're going to do a cone shape, and a cone is similar to a triangle with a round bottom. So I'm going to pretend that my cone here is going to be behind my square, or not my square, my cube, sorry. And I'm going to kind of guesstimate where my cone meets up behind my cube. So now that I have it drawn out, I'm going to kind of just double check my cone here. And I have these lovely shadows and highlights on this cone, so I'm going to apply that in green. I'm going to start with a dark, dark, dark shadow to the darkest part away from the sun because it is the farthest part. The shadow is from the farthest part of the sun, and the lightest part will be next to the sun. So notice that my left is lighter than my right because it's by the sun. I'm going to color in the middle here in the middle like tone. Not super dark, but not super light either. And I'm making sure I'm blending these together. It's not just a bam, 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 but it's blended together like a gradient. So after I do that, I'm going to also apply a shadow, and I'm going to make my shadow look like it's kind of rounded just like my cone, and it's in the same direction as the cube. And notice that it's also the shadow is near the darkest part of my cone as well to make it look like it's actually casting a shadow. The next shape that we're going to do together is a cylinder. Look at this cute little cylinder. It kind of looks like a pop can a little bit. So we're going to draw that next on the left side of my cube. Now you don't have to do the same shapes as I do in the same order. You can always make up your own composition. I'd like you to make your own composition because that is how you are creative and using your imagination. So as you can see, I made two circles that semi-overlap, and I am connecting them with two lines, one at the top and then one at the bottom. Now, I don't like this cylinder, so I'm going to actually erase it one more time because it is not the same slant as my cube. And I noticed that, so I'm going to erase it and I will just draw it again. Just because something looks really good doesn't mean it's correct. I learned that in high school. Just because I drew a really cool hand does not mean the proportions are right. So I actually would erase it. And it's hard to do that sometimes, but you can do it. If you did it once, you can do it again. So I fixed it this time. I made it look a little more like it's on the same plane as my cube and my cone. And so now I'm going to go in with my cylinder color, and I'm going to draw the shadows and the highlights of my cylinder. So I'm going to kind of go off my square slash cube here, and I'm going to start at the bottom of my cylinder, make it super dark, and kind of move up my cylinder, kind of drawing in a round shape. If you saw that, I'm kind of going over it like in circles, so I'm not making scratch marks. And so I'm also trying to make that medium light tone at the top, and then at the bottom I'm making that shadow again. So I'm making that shadow to make it look dark, and it's the shadow again is closest to the shadow on the cylinder. Okay, and it's not super dark, but that's okay. And I'm going to outline my cylinder for you so you can see it in my cone. I forgot to do that earlier. So now you have 3 3D shapes, and to make it a complete image, you can go ahead and you can draw out a kind of like a table that it's sitting on to make it look like a complete image. I'm going to do this with pink because that's what I had, and I'm going to draw it all over. I'm going to draw in color all over my shadows and all over the bottom part of my paper to make it look like it's actually sitting on my table. I'm also going to use yellow to kind of finish it up, and how I'll even make my crazy little son, he looks a little janky, I'll just give him a smile and call it a day. I cannot wait to see what you guys create. Happy practicing. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. See you next time. Bye-bye.